Ever feel like you're doing this teaching thing alone? You don't have to be. Shared teaching is all about sharing the workload through the power of collaboration and teamwork. Together, we'll walk through all the difficult parts of teaching and learn how to streamline our processes, fine-tune our time management, and develop a more manageable workload. If that sounds like a dream come true to you, then welcome to the Shared Teaching Podcast. Let's share in the teaching to make those dreams a reality. Now here's today's Shared Teaching. Welcome to the Shared Teaching Podcast. I'm your host, Susan, the creator and founder behind Shared Teaching, and you are listening to episode 120, where we're going to dive in and discuss 3 habits that might be hurting your writing instruction. And these might be things that you do without even knowing you're hurting your writing instruction. So let's go ahead and dive right in and talk about habit number 1. The first habit that might be hurting your writing instruction is if you are using daily writing prompts. Now, using these daily writing prompts as your only source of writing curriculum is what's going to be hurting your instruction. They can be great once in a while, but using them daily is going to start having negative effects on your students' writing and hurt your instruction. Our students have a lot to say and a lot of imagination. Using writing prompts day after day is going to begin to stifle that creativity. Students need to be able to choose their own topics to write about. Yes, they will need experience with writing prompts in order to do well on state testing, but that doesn't mean our entire curriculum should be built on daily prompts. Giving students the freedom to decide what to write about rather than being told what to write will increase their enthusiasm for writing. You're going to start seeing longer writing and more engaged students if you back away from the daily use of prompts. Another thing that prompts are going to hurt your instruction with is that if you're using a prompt, maybe you're teaching just to the prompt and you're not actually teaching the writing skills that students need to be successful in crafting a writing piece. So, for example, maybe the writing prompts don't lend itself necessarily to having like a beginning, middle, and end or a really good introduction. You're just teaching to answer what the prompt is asking. You're not really doing a complete writing piece. At least that's my opinion. If you would like to know more, I do have an entire podcast episode dedicated towards this. It is going to be episode number 51 on the Shared Teaching Podcast, and it's called Why Writing Prompts Should Not Be Used as Your Writing Curriculum. You can find the link to it in the show notes, and you can also read it if you want to go back and look over it later. Okay, habit number 2 is that we don't want to be publishing every writing piece. Now, this is because we want students to absolutely love and fall in love with publishing. If we are teaching each step in the writing process, we do not have to go through the entire process and publish every single week, every single day, whatever pattern you have. I like to model my writing curriculum similar to that of a published author. So published authors write, edit, revise, and then sometimes edit and revise again, but they sometimes never publish some of their writing. Instead, they choose their favorite writing piece to polish up and send off into the world of publishing. I love having my students go through and pick the piece that they'd like to publish at the end of a writing unit. When students are not publishing each and every piece, they take more care on the ones they do publish. Publishing a piece of writing should be exciting and special. When we publish every piece we write, it no longer becomes special, but is something that we have to do. We start dreading having to publish this piece of writing. Oh, I just did that last week and it takes so much time and I really don't want to do a beautiful picture to go with my writing, right? You start hearing those things from your students. And publishing every single time is going to start losing its publishing magic. If you want to learn more about the steps in the writing process, I've got you covered. Go to Share Teaching Podcast episode number 70 for the 5 steps in the writing process. Once again, it's also in the show notes. You can just click and it'll take you right there. Habit number 3, and our last habit we're going to talk about today, is lacking a clear learning path. Teaching writing can be one of the most challenging subjects to teach. I hear it over and over again from other teachers and even my own colleagues. Most school districts do not provide a curriculum for writing, and most universities do not teach aspiring teachers how to teach writing to students. It's just glossed right over, like we just have this magical gene inside of ourselves that we're going to just know how to teach these budding writers in elementary school when we're released to go be a teacher, right? That is far from the truth. And the end result of this is going to have a lot of overwhelm and teachers that are struggling to teach writing. And then you rely on things like writing prompts for your core instruction. Now, if we plan writing the way we might plan out a unit for reading or math, our writing instruction would have a clear learning path. We would teach our lessons to build upon each other to reach our end goal. So let's look at an example. Say we want to teach our students to write an opinion piece. To start figuring out our learning path, we consult with our state standards. What standards are students expected to learn? What skills do students need in order to meet that standard? Right? The same process we think about when we look at math and reading standards. We're going to think about that with our writing standards. Working backwards from the standards, we can then create a series of skills that students need to be taught. This provides us with our clear learning path for our writing instruction. After we know the skills, we can use a pre-assessment to determine where to start our lessons. So if you want to know more all about using a writing pre-assessment, you're going to want to head to Share Teaching Podcast episode number 91 called Using a Writing Pre-Assessment. Again, it's in the show notes. And I also have a freebie for you that's a kindergarten through 3rd grade chart of all the writing skills organized by genre that students need to learn. So if you're administering that pre-assessment, you can check it with the chart to see what skills they have and they don't have. It's a great thing to use. It's free. So again, go to the show notes. You can click on it and sign up, get it delivered to your email inbox today, and get started on planning a new path for your writing instruction for the following year. So I want to know, which habit did we talk about that you think is hurting your writing instruction? Or is there a habit that you're doing that I didn't even notice? So go ahead and leave me that feedback. I love to hear from you, and thanks for listening to the Share Teaching Podcast. See you next time. Make sure you tune in on Wednesday for our brand new series, Weekly Wednesday Writing Tips. I'm very excited, and I will see you on Wednesday. Bye for now. If you've loved this show, then join me in sharing the teaching,
hitting that subscribe button,
and leaving us a review on
iTunes,
so we can be found by more teachers like you who are ready to start sharing the workload. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Find new episodes each week on sharedteaching.com. Thanks for listening to the Share Teaching Podcast. Say we want our teachers to